So, I think we are live. Hang on. Grabbing my glasses to have a quick look. Good evening, everybody. We are live. It's Julie here, promising the Q A from last night. So thank you to those that have posted questions. And there's a couple of things we're going to go over that have come up from all the comments and stuff in the challenge this week. But I wanted to firstly start just by saying well done to everybody that has taken part in the challenge this week. Your comments have been brilliant. They've absolutely kept me going. Some of them are just so funny. And it's just so wonderful to see everybody making time for themselves. So incredibly important when we are very, very busy people. And I really hope you've enjoyed it so far. Keep up the great work and keep asking the questions. I am here to help. So never be afraid. Don't hold back. Ask away. Right, so I'm just going to come on to the questions that I've had. So the first thing I actually wanted to discuss was actually Pilates breathing. So a lot of people are saying, I find it really difficult to link the breathing to the movement, and that is totally normal. It is the single most, hi Jill. Hi. It is the single most challenging part of any Pilates practice. The most important thing is that you don't forget to breathe. So if you stop breathing, you'll start to hold tension everywhere, and that's definitely what we don't want. So if you can't get into this breathing pattern, linking the breath with the movement, just breathe normally and know that I promise you it comes with practice. The more you do it, the more, it's like learning to drive. One day you'll get on your mat and you'll just be able to do it. If it's easy to remember, the way that I was taught and the way that I remembered it when I was learning Pilates was, hey May, hi, was you breathe in to prepare and you exhale to move. But it takes a while, so stick with it. I promise you it does come. But the most important thing is that you don't forget to breathe. Now, on that subject, there is a few resources that I'll recommend that you take a look at, especially if you are new to Pilates or you're just getting back into it from a break. So the building blocks of Pilates are your ABCs. So it stands for alignment, breathing, and centering, which is using your core activation, your Pilates abs. So I would recommend you take a little look at my Pilates for Beginners free 5-part video series. So this was something that I launched last year, and actually it's my most popular download. It's 5 videos and you'll get them again in email, so you can watch them in your own time. I think they're sequenced out over a number of days. The first one will talk you through alignment, which is your first building block of Pilates. Your second one will talk you through breathing. So it's broken down. The videos are only 15 minutes long. Everything that I do tends to be in bite-sized chunks, so it's just easy to fit into your day. And the third one is on centering, so it's a little bit more in depth about how to activate your deep abdominal muscles. So that is free. If you go on to ostadalivingonline.com and you look for my free Pilates for Beginners 5-part video series, then I would definitely recommend, if you want to know a little bit more about the breathing and the other bits and pieces that are your building blocks. And it comes with a little cheat sheet so you can test your knowledge, which is quite good as well. I actually also go over neutral pelvis and spine quite a bit in that. In the first one, that's part of our alignment. So again, if you're wanting just to get to grips and understand the basics a little bit more, definitely. It's hard to do everything in the 10 minutes. So definitely go and check those out. You'll find them really useful. The first 3 videos are the building blocks. The other 2 in the series, the fourth one is a little video on how to test your flexibility. So there's a little test in that you can take yourself through to test where you're at with your flexibility. It'll give you a little benchmark, and then you can come back to that video, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line. You can retest yourself and you'll be able to see yourself making these little improvements in your flexibility. And the last one is just a 20-minute full body Pilates for Beginners workout, which brings everything all together. So that's a really good one. So that's my free Pilates for Beginners 5-part video series. ostadalivingonline.com. You can sign up to that and it'll be sent to you to do in your own time. So that's the breathing. So I'm remembering this is 50 minutes long. I like to go on. Wrist modifications was the other one. A lot of people saying some of the upper body stuff is quite intense on your wrists. So the 10-minute videos are mixed ability, and I will say, and I say it a lot, is work to your own level. If something feels just a little bit beyond reach for you at the moment, know that that's absolutely fine. Everybody is at a different stage. Pilates is a process. I also call it a practice. So you're always just showing up to practice, and with practice comes improvement. So just bear that in your mind. It's a non-competitive, non-judgmental form of exercise. So don't be thinking, I can't do this because my wrists are sore. Just know that it will come, and the modifications for the wrists are take breaks. So remember, it's always the quality of the movement in Pilates. So take breaks if you feel like your wrists are struggling. Give them a good shake. You can stretch them forward. You can also flex them this way. So make fists, really draw your fingers together like you're gonna, like you're making a sort of fist to punch, and stretch out your wrists. Same with the other way. So you can press the fingers back to stretch the wrist underneath. And just rest. If you're doing planks, anything that involves kind of load on the wrists, come onto the forearms. And also, if you are planking, bring your knees down. So you can bring your knees to the floor and plank with a little bit of extra support, and know that, you're just building that strength. So you could keep your knees here, and then the load is a little bit less in the wrists. So the knees are on the floor, if you can see that, and then you're on your wrists. Or of course, you just come down onto the forearms and you plank like this. So always options, yeah. But just, of course, be kind. The other thing is on the wrists, I don't know what mats everybody or what flooring you're working on, but ideally, the mat that you see me use is not actually the best mat to use. It's a yoga mat, and yoga mats and Pilates mats are different. So we spend a lot more time on our backs in Pilates. So you want to have a padded mat, usually around kind of 1 centimetre, 2 centimetres. My flooring is really cushioned, so I'm okay. So just be mindful of that as well. You don't want to compress too much in the spine. So have something padded to absorb sort of things like compression. That will help with your wrists too. And then you can roll your mat back to give your wrists a little bit of support as well if you've got any issues with your wrists. But definitely take breaks and don't force it. If it's not happening for you, it will come. So that's the wrists. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh yeah, cramping. Somebody had asked, I think Tiff, somebody was asking about cramping. It's a great one because it happens all the time. And there's no real reason for the cramping. A couple of things are, it can sometimes be a little electrolyte imbalance, which means you just need to drink more water. So get the water down you, and that will help limit cramps. And the other thing is you're maybe just over-recruiting the wrong muscle group. So where we see this happen all the time is in the spine curl. And it's so common, the hamstrings just go and then you're out the game. If you do cramp, just come out of the exercise, the cramp will pass and you can come back into it. Spine curls, you focus on your glute muscles. That's the primary muscle being worked in that exercise. And if your hamstrings take over, then they probably will cramp. They're probably just being overused a little bit. The other place where you tend to get a lot of cramping is in your feet. So again, just try and stop whatever it is you're doing. Let the cramp pass and come back into it. So yeah, and drink lots of water. So there's no real myth with the cramping. It's just one of those things. And again, the more strength you build, the less technically cramping you should get. So that's cramping. Right, what else have we got? Amanda Bannisters has a great question about back mobility. What should she focus on? What workouts specifically address things like back mobility? So that's a really good question. And if I'm being honest, every single Pilates class should be a well-rounded, balanced mat class. And you should always move through the 4 main types of movement, which would be rotation, flexion, extension, and side bending. So something like your mermaid stretch. But specifically, if you're wanting to focus on back mobility, now remember, the problem with isolating something, your body is one unit and it works as one unit. So just bear that in mind. Spine curls are very, very good for mobility of your spine. The roll downs, the roll up is good for mobility of the spine. Anything that we're doing with the upper back series will give you a lot of rotation. So you really want to be focusing on rotation if you want to get movement into your thoracic spine. That's the one movement type that your thoracic spine is responsible for. So your spine is responsible for different types of movement, and I'm going to answer this in a question further down the line because Tiffany's asked a really interesting question about something, so we'll come on to that. But your thoracic spine, so the middle part of your spine, if I grab a little skeleton, hang on. Yeah, I'm not much of a loser. I'll bring Rex over. This is Rex. So your thoracic spine, if you don't know, is the kind of chunk that starts just at the base of the neck and then comes to more or less like the bottom of your, just underneath the ribs to the base there. So that'd be your lumbar spine starting there. So that's your thoracic vertebra. It's mainly responsible for rotation in the spine. So yeah, so you want to do upper back stuff, Amanda, and the upper back workouts will be good for you. Any of the healthy back stuff. So we've done healthy backs already in the challenge, but on my YouTube channel, there is another, I can't remember what, I think it's called Low Back Love. There is another video up for the back, so definitely take a look at that. And also the Pilates for Beginners one will be really good as well, and any of the posture ones. So I think this week in the challenge, or maybe it's Pilates at your desk. So the last week in the challenge, there is a Pilates for posture, which will be really good. And there is a posture video on my YouTube channel as well, so definitely look at those. They'll be good for your upper back, upper mid back. So that was a great question, so thank you for that. Yeah, rotation. Good. All right, Terry has asked a question. What else have we got? On her knees and pain. Yeah, that's a hard one. So the issue with pain is it's really subjective. So what's painful to you might be not be painful to somebody else. But I think what you're asking is, if you've had a knee injury, then you need to totally respect that. So ideally, if you're coming back into exercise and if you're rehabbing an injury, one, you need to be signed off by a doctor. Two, you probably need to be working with a sort of specialist program. So you'd be looking for your injury to be old and cold, I would say. And again, I don't know what you mean by pain, but your quad muscle group are the set that really protect the knee. So you'd want to be wanting to build up strength in your knee. If you mean that you're on your knees in 4-point kneeling and you're getting pain in your knee, again, I don't know what pain means to you, then you just stop. Like, I would always say, don't do anything that is causing you pain. But also know that if you are coming back from an injury, it is going to be kind of normal to go through a bit of an experience of pain. You see this all the time. I see this all the time when I treat people with low back problems, and I know this from myself. You become a little bit fearful, which can manifest as more pain in the body. So this is why pain's not a straightforward subject. So just be mindful of that, and know that if you are rehabbing an injury and you're coming back from something, there will be maybe a little period where it might be painful, but know that you'll break through that at some point too. But if it's really hurting and causing pain elsewhere in the body, then you will know your own body. You don't ever force anything that is not feeling right for you. So yeah, just be careful. The knees are a funny thing. Yeah. Focus on really good form. So I will say that in everyday movement, sitting, standing, walking, whatever it is you're up to, focus on really good alignment. That's another thing that's really going to help something like knee issues. So always be thinking of your nice parallel. And of course, just keep working on building that strength as well. And it will shift, I promise. So that was Terry's on pain in the knees. Let's see. Oh yeah, the other thing with the knees is, again, just be mindful of what flooring you're on. So you'll see coming up in the videos, I always put cushions under my knees no matter what I do. I'm so just funny about my knees and my body. If you get a chance to protect it proactively, then do it. A couple of cushions, towels, folded towels under your knee when you're in 4-point kneeling, or there's a couple of different exercises we do in Pilates where you're on your knees. Then just by all means take what you need to take to protect yourself. Just look after yourself. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do anything. Because you've got pads under your knees doesn't mean that you're not doing it right. You're just really looking after yourself. So be mindful of that too. But you'll see that coming up in the challenge. I did talk about padding your knees. And yeah, just make sure you're on the right mat. Because if you're on a hard surface on a mat, that's not going to be good for any of your joints. So be careful there. Yoga mats and Pilates mats are different. So right, what else have we got? Yeah, focus on alignment and good form and all will be well. Tiff has asked a really good question as well about, she is doing some single arm thrusters. I actually don't know what that is, Tiff. I don't know if you're online watching, but if you are, I'd love to know what that is. It sounds interesting. And plank walks are causing you a bit of an issue with your low back. So again, this is a sort of interesting one. So, and you do reference being tired. So I think you said you struggle with them, especially when you get tired. So that is a good question. So the first thing I would say is, if you're feeling tired, you will start to lose your form. So stop. in Pilates, we always focus on good form, precision of movement. It's always the quality of the move over anything else. That's why you're able to do such low repetitions. So low repetitions performed precisely are of more benefit to you than doing, 100 reps that are not that precise. So there is actually a really famous Joseph Pilates quote. I wrote it down for you. He was a bit of a interesting guy. So he said, "A few well-designed movements properly performed in a balanced sequence are worth hours of sloppy Kalinetics or forced contortion." He was like really weird the way he spoke, but basically what he's saying there is, less is more. So again, if you're feeling tired doing an exercise, you are going to lose your form. So that could be one reason why you're going wrong. So stop. Remember, it's not about getting in 100 reps. Stop. Maybe do 2 or 3 that are really good form, and then stop, take a break and regain and get back into good form, and then just keep repeating them. So that's what I would say. Focus on your quality and your precision of movement. So again, alignment, massively important. And yeah, you mentioned these plank walks, which I think are when you're going onto your forearms and up again, and the single arm thrusters. So that, to me, sounds like I don't know what move a single arm thrust is, but if you're kind of pushing your pelvis forward and you feel like you're getting low back pain, it sounds like you could be overextending your lumbar spine. So maybe don't thrust as much if that's what's happening, and focus on core stability. So if you're rotating, so you're sort of made the point that these 2 exercises that you're doing are rotation, but they're bringing on back pain, I would guess that you're rotating from the wrong place. So again, earlier on in the video, I spoke about rotation comes from your thoracic spine, not your lumbar spine is not really designed to rotate. So all the joints in your spine are designed to do different things. Your neck moves in all directions. So you can side bend, you can flex and extend, and you can take full circles with your head. Your thoracic spine is designed to do flexion, extension, but mainly its main job is to rotate the body. And your lumbar spine is not really designed. It's got a tiny little degree of rotation, but it is not designed to rotate. It's designed to flex and extend, and some side bending as well. So focus on your form, focus on stabilizing, and focus on wherever you're rotating from needs to come from the right part of your spine. So that could be another reason why you're taking it in your low back. And often when I treat people with low back pain, we'll see that the first thing we'll address is the thoracic spine and getting movement to free up the middle bit, because if that middle bit is not rotating, the joints above and below, so movement is in a kinetic chain, and if it's blocked anywhere in that chain, it will just keep moving up or down until it finds somewhere to move. And normally it's the thoracic spine that becomes immobile because we don't do enough rotation. We sit in flexion all the time, and when we stand up, we're kind of extended. So rotate lots. And what was the other reason I was telling you that for? I've gone off on one. I've lost my train of thought. So how unlike me. So yeah, just make sure that you're stabilizing your pelvis, so deep abdominal muscles, and maybe I was trying to think of how you could take this into Pilates. So one of the thoughts I had was around, regress a little bit in your Pilates. We work forward, you can work forwards and backwards in Pilates. So think about keeping your feet down in more of the exercises, and think about focusing on your out breath and connecting your deep abdominal muscles more. So watch for things like your pelvis being unlevel, watch for things like doming in your tummy. So, when you're doing your curl-ups, we always say your tummy should be kind of just drawn down towards your spine. There shouldn't be any kind of bulging or doming, we say, in the tummy. If that is happening, it's a sign that you're not connecting with your transverse, your corset muscle. So stop, reset yourself, and come back into it. So again, always focusing on that quality of movement and thinking about that deep core connection. And if you're doing all these exercises and it's hurting your low back, then do less of them until you've got that core strength, and then go back to do them to keep yourself safe. That's my wee recommendation there. And I think that's everything. Yeah, just a reminder on the transverse muscle, which is one of your deep core stabilizing muscles. So your core muscles are like a cylinder in your spine. You've got a set that sit really close into your spine. These are your internal core muscles. And then you've got a set that sit outside that. So you've got one cylinder, internal cylinder, and then you've got an external cylinder. So the external cylinder are like your six-pack muscles, your rectus abdominis, ones that are really famous, the Arnie muscles. And the ones that are inside, that are closed, that are encased by your external core muscles, are things like this not multifidus, that is one of them, that's a spinal extensor, is your transverse muscle. So that's your deep core stabilizing muscle. It's a postural muscle, it sits really close into the spine. And in Pilates, we're training these inner core muscles to be on all of the time, because they're the ones that are responsible for supporting you when you're standing, when you're sitting, everyday movements. So we say they should be on in low load situations. So they should just be kind of have enough tension in them to support your skeleton, and then the other muscles start to come into play when you're doing things like exercise. But what we see a lot of the time is that the little muscles on the inner side of the core have switched off because we're not using them, and the bigger muscles that sit on the outside are taking over, which is why you end up with things like back pain, because your wee muscles that support you have turned off. So Pilates is so brilliant for just kind of protecting you. And your body is, you need to view it. People need to view your body as a piece of equipment. So think how often you service your car, think how often you service, appliances in your house. It's the same thing, your body's the same thing, but somehow we don't think of it like that. We just take it for granted until something goes wrong, and it's not a quick fix when your body goes wrong, is it? It's not like you take the car to the garage, and it can be very costly. So Pilates will, these 10 minutes that you're giving yourselves every single day, you're doing, the best for yourself that you can. So to protect yourself, it is your insurance, it is your taking your car to the garage kind of thing. And the best thing about Pilates is, as you were seeing for yourself, it doesn't have to be this kind of 60 minutes on the mat or this hardcore, sort of workout. You can fit it into your life in much easier ways. So on that, the transverse ab, I went off on one there, you see? The transverse ab, ostadalivingonline.com, just keep referring you back to that. Have a little look there. Have a little look over neutral pelvis and spine again. And also there are 2 articles on that blog from spinal surgeons they're worth a read. There's one about your hips and there's one about your spine, and they're also brilliant to read, because these are the guys that you end up in front of if you have not looked after yourself. And they are massive advocates of people doing things like Pilates to strengthen your spine and to keep your spine mobile for old age, really. I mean, without being not that I'm like kind of doom and gloom, but you want to be enjoying your old age and not kind of be suffering back pain and getting hip replacements and things like that if you can avoid it. So yeah, so that's my 15 minutes Q&A. It's probably more like half an hour by the time I rabbit on. Guys, you have just been absolutely amazing. This week we're going into the middle week, so this is the interesting week, isn't it, where you think, oh god, like we're not halfway there, but we're not at the start, but we can do it. It's 10 minutes. Remember, it's fine to skip a day. You can jump back in. This is a challenge, but it's not a challenge. It's, we're finding those pockets, we're being kind to ourselves, and we're building our strength in a really realistic and practical way. So keep with it. I'll be cheering you on, always cheering you on, and I'm doing it right with you. I'm on catch up. I've got to do my 100, and I've got to choose something from today. I'm going to do it tonight, and then I'm going to chill. So yeah, watch this video. Some useful hints and tips in it. If I've said something you're like, what, then just put in the comments and I'll answer them. Pilates for beginners is where you want to go. If you're looking for the basics, the building blocks, your alignment, breathing, centering, you can do that tonight. If you've not got an exciting life like me. And I will see you on the mat tomorrow. Stretch and relax. Yeah, that's a nice thing for Monday, isn't it? Enjoy your Sunday night, guys. Stay safe. Hope you get a walk today. It's lovely in Edinburgh today. Lots of love. Thank you, guys. You're doing a great job.